Oh, going live. Okay. Everyone, hi. Bruce Muffson, LCW, Sunridge of Nevada, and we're back for another live stream. Tonight's a little bit of a different format, but we're going to get into comments as well. Just before we even begin, we've had an explosion of comments, and I will get to all of them. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to Mac Miller and his crew, and of course, thank you, Death Grips. You guys have just been overwhelming with your comments and your feedback, and how much you enjoyed the song that I did. Great, much appreciation. And just for everybody in general, want to thank everybody for just the comments from other videos as well, even from several years ago. So thank you. What I want to talk about tonight was the coronavirus, because that's obviously the #1 topic in the country and how it's relating to everybody. And I want to go over a couple of things first and give people a chance to understand where I'm coming from, my perspective, and how you could take it for yourselves. And then at the same time, I'd like you to, I want to give some feedback out to certain fans that we didn't get a chance to thank previously. So with no further ado, here we go. Okay. I brought some articles with me that I thought were interesting and relevant, and I want to kind of share and break it down clinically and how it affects not just governments anymore in the world, but also us on an individual level. First thing is this, the importance of transparency, not just for government, but for ourselves as well. I want to share an article that I had seen from the Las Vegas Review-Journal in the review section. I'm sorry, in their opinion section, and it went like this: the importance of governments just to be transparent when something is going down. For example, this doctor was Li Wen Liang, was the first doctor to sound the alarm about the coronavirus. China's totalitarian regime forced him to sign a statement that his concerns were illegal behavior. And he said this: if the officials had disclosed information about the epidemic earlier, I think it would have been a lot better, he told the New York Times before dying from the actual virus himself. There should be more openness and transparency. Absolutely. Critical. And finally, there's another comment: transparency promotes accountability. When you're honest and open about things, it's a level playing field. And too often we kind of hide behind things. We hide behind false truths, half-truths, maybe truths, sometimes truth. It's not the answer. And I'm relaying that not just to governments, local governments, city, state, county, but to ourselves as well. Be honest when something is going on and be truthful. Don't hide behind, maybe I could be doing this, I'm not sure. If it's happening, let people know. Okay, another thing also, the mistake in putting things off, because small things turn big very, very quickly. I saw an article from the New York Times. This was on the 19th, and it really interesting how they broke down the virus, and that this is not the government's like, oh my God, never heard of this before. This is a complete shock to the system. I don't know how this took place. The reality was, even from the Bush administration, they were aware that a pandemic could happen, because the world has changed, and you have to be able to look at that kind of stuff for yourself and realize that what might have occurred 50 years ago is not relevant today. Things change. You have to be on top of change and be aware of it. So what was the whole point was they realized, whoa, we could have problems here. The world is becoming more and more connected. So they actually had something done last year. It was called Crimson Contagion, which was done by the president, Donald Trump, and their Department of Health and Human Services. They ran exercises between last year, late January to August. And the simulation sobering results was this: just how underfunded, underprepared, and uncoordinated the federal government would be in a life or death battle with the virus for which no treatment existed. So people were already kind of aware there was a problem. So 3 times over the past 4 years, the United States government, across 2 different administrations, had grappled in depth with what the pandemic would look like, identifying likely shortcomings, and in some cases recommending specific actions. So people are aware of this. They weren't naive. There wasn't like, oh my God. They were aware of what the possibilities could be. And don't forget that the first test of this came in April of 2009, right after Barack Obama's first term. We had a thing called the swine flu, or H1N1. And that was scary. That was the first, global pandemic. And then in 2014, with the outbreak of Ebola in West Africa, and there was a fear that it could actually come to the United States. So there was not to say young man, as a person named Christopher Kirchhoff. He was a national security aide who moved from the Pentagon to the White House. he was given the job of putting together a paper that says, what lessons have we learned from this, and what do we have to go forward with? What is striking reading his account today, Mr. Kirchhoff, is that there were deficiencies in personal protective equipment use, disinfection, and social services for those placed under quarantine. There was also confusion over travel restrictions and the need for a smoother sliding scale of escalation of government response. So already people are noticing these things. They're kind of aware of it. And then Congress was briefed in December on some of these findings, including the inability to quickly replenish certain medical supplies, given that much of the product comes from overseas. And finally, you look at this, there was a hearing last Thursday, which people were asking the question of Department of Health and Human Services, what was going on, reflecting the shortage of respirators and protective gear. Boom. Okay. Small things lead to big problems. And that's something that you need to understand, is that now that we're going ahead and like United people are trying to turn out ventilators and respirators and masks, this goes in life. And I find this in clinical counseling so often. So many times when people come and say things to us like, oh, I'm 50 years old, I'm addicted to heroin, or, you know, I have a problem with domestic violence, or I have a problem with self-control, I have a problem with anger, that I don't say to them like, what brought you in now? I said, what started this path of self-destruction? What started your path of dysfunction? Because it's not what happened now, it's what happened earlier. And something you got to think about for yourselves is that we've talked about this over and over again. If you got a problem, something's going on, be aware of it. We've gotten comments from people that have said things like this to us. Oh, you know what, Bruce, I'm amazing. I'm incredible. I'm a 1%er. No one knows what's going on with me. I'm a complete mess inside. I have drug problems. I have alcohol problems. I got this kind of problem, but no one knows. No one knows. Let me say this again and again and again. Everyone knows. You think you're fooling. The only person you're really fooling is yourself. Everyone's kind of like looking at you and like they're talking about you behind your back, behind closed doors. Like, what does Bruce think he's doing? How serious? You know, is Bruce realistic? Is Bruce being serious? Who's he kidding? Only person you're kidding is yourself. And it's the same thing with countries that, you know, we think we can suppress, but in the end, everything comes to the surface, either positive or it's going to be negative. And so many issues when I hear what people saying with mental health problems, with breakdowns, they'll go, man, I wish I wouldn't have done that. I wish I wouldn't have gone into the bar. I wish I wouldn't have gotten off my sobriety. I wish I wouldn't have left AA. I wish I would have learned self-control. I wish I would have learned how to walk away. Yeah, because when you don't do that, that's when things blow up in your face and you get destroyed. And you see how this virus, this pandemic is so pervasive, but yet, if the Chinese had been more forthcoming and more self-aware that things were a problem because their own people were saying it, how much less of a problem would it be today? I mean, I live in Las Vegas, and I know going to be probably one of the hardest cities hit. The Strip is silent. There's no traffic. Completely different city to live in right now. All could have been majority prevented, where much less severity, people would have taken that ability to say, let's be honest on what's going on. So talk openly to your people, talk only to, you know, your friends, your family, your coworkers. If you have a mental health issue, get it out in the open. And, you know, you put things off. Like the guy was saying, if there's a pandemic, this could blow up in our face. And people were taking it seriously, but not as seriously as they should have. And this shows you again, the lack of not listening to like so-called experts that predict things. Well, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It did happen. That's what I want to talk about. Now, about the virus itself, and feel free to start commenting and throwing in questions. What are we learning from this virus? This virus is completely different than anything we've ever seen before in basically the history of the planet, in the sense that we're still learning about this. Everyone's like, well, it's not like it's like the flu, kills more people. Completely different animal right now. And we have to understand that. But for the first time, people are saying when you go into quarantine, don't even be with your family. It's so interesting because in other epidemics, we're in crisis, we're famine, you always hear the same thing. Be with your parents, be with your loved ones, come together, you know, family, kumbaya. You know what they're saying today? Even if you live in a house with two other people, be in 3 separate rooms. because any one of those people can be a carrier, including your mother, your father, your sister. Literally everybody could be a carrier. Isolate, isolate, isolate. If you're looking at this from a sense of a religious perspective, like some kind of higher power, faith perspective, the question is, what does that really say that we're being told to isolate ourselves from everyone around you? It's not a group consensus anymore. It's like about yourself. What are you learning from this situation? What are you working on? What are you wanting to change about yourself? You're given a chance of reflection for the first time. Like if you're in your own room, you can't talk to your mother. You got to stay away from your wife. You can kiss your kids to a point, blah, 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 blah. But what are you learning about yourself that needs to improve? Because now you have the time to do so. And guess what? I have flaws in my own life that I need to work on, because I'm not perfect. And I recognize that. My relationship with my wife, with my kids, with my coworkers, what am I doing on a religious level? I'm not trying, obviously we don't push religion on anybody, but if you understand, like looking at what is the role of a higher power, where are we on this aspect? They go to jail. If they get a chance, don't spend your time like just looking for trouble, fighting, being a pain in the butt. You actually have the first time you could sit in your cell and think, what got me here? And what do I never want to come back here? So the same thing for yourself with this crisis. Look at yourself individually. What do I need to improve on? What do I need to work on? Because the idea of the isolation is so interesting to me. And I'm just taking this back from the Old Testament, the Tower of Babel, when you had all these people convinced we can work together and make a tower to reach the heavens. And what did God do? He created, languages that no one could understand each other. And the entire tower crashed to the ground. So all these people talking, maybe they don't have the answers. Maybe you got to look at yourself and say, what are my deficiencies and how do I look forward? Be specific. Don't be general. I should be nice to people. What does that mean? I should be nice to my family. What does that mean? See where this is all going to go. Okay, fine. Now, having to be alone, what are you learning about yourself? What do you need to improve on? That's my next point I wanted to share. What do you need to improve on? What do you need to grow from? Think about yourself now at this time to think. What do you want your career path to be now? You kind of get a sense of what really is important in life and what really is not. What careers are important, what is not. So what are you looking to work on right now to grow and to see yourself in a higher pattern? And finally, use this time not just to clean up your garage or binge on Netflix, but personally, okay, clean up relationships as well. See things in a way that's going to improve. So if we've talked about this with fathers all the time, if you have sons and daughters out there that you haven't connected with, now's the time, not just with a text message, but make a phone call, use a letter, be able to relate to the person that you're trying to reach, be accessible. And if things have been toxic in the past, think about what can you do better? What can you do to make amends? Hey, I love you. I'm sorry. I apologize. What's going on in that regard? So, look at yourself, understand problems, dealing with it right away. Step outside yourself also. People are doing a lot of things with volunteering. What are you doing with volunteering? And I want you to think about that from the sense of, can you give to some other people that need more than you? That's how we're going to get through this. We're only going to get through this when we work together as a unit, as a crew, versus like thinking about myself only, where I'm going to stock up on, 100 more rolls of toilet paper. Is there someone in need, which is more than likely? Can you reach out and stretch yourself? Volunteer. I'm not even going to get into what kind of volunteering there is because there's so many options, but what can you do to make it happen? And make it simple. You don't have to make it like elaborate. Say, hey, in a letter, I love you. I'm thinking about you. I want the best for you. Be accessible. That's what I wanted to share. Okay, here we go. And again, feel free to throw in your comments, throw in your perspectives, throw in your thoughts. I'm more than happy to do so. We want to hear. Okay. No good. I had to get some feedback. There you go. Okay. I first want to thank Rizzo Sphinx, okay, because she had said from Kid Cudi Swim in the Light. I had to summon dislike because the whole time I was saying, right, right. So thank you, Rizzo, for that comment, that you got it and you enjoyed it. Appreciate it. Alex G, Kid Cudi Swim in the Light. I had no idea how I stumbled upon this, but you're a great man for doing this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for appreciating what we're doing. Enjoy that. Slaw Sasson, Kid Cudi, Swim in the Light. Again, it's amazing to me how much credibility he has in terms of being such a great artist, and so many people enjoy what he has to say. Are you the guy in this video? Yes, I am. Do you operate this channel? To a point, and because this is just amazing. That came to us from Slaw Sasson. I'm sorry, that came from Slaw Sasson. You brought up so many points of the lyrics and subtle things I never even noticed. Great video. Thank you, Slaw Sasson. And then Kicking Man said, are you, Kid Cudi in the Light again, are you the guy in this video? Do you operate this channel? Because this is just amazing. All right. Again, thank you guys. I mean, Kid Cudi, again, it's just so amazing how many people go on and on and on with him. Let me just clarify something as well about thanking people, being appreciative of what people do. I can't thank my agent and producer enough because of what he's done for me. And that's the kind of thing I want you to understand about gratitude. I mean, none of this would be possible without his efforts. That's just reality. I mean, I can talk on and on and on about it, but the truth of the matter is he's an integral part. As great as I think I am, and I'm a legend in my own mind, my point is he has been a huge impact to get us where we are today. And that's what I want you to kind of talk about, being open and saying gratitude and being gracious and just saying to other people, hey, it's important to say thank you to them. So if I'm reaching out, I want you to reach out. And just going back 1 second, I like people to write in and tell us also, if anybody here is doing something that they wouldn't have done 2 months ago, whether it's volunteering, whether it's reaching out, whether it's donating, I'd like to hear that. I'm interested to hear what people are doing differently. Just for myself alone, I spent a lot more time with my staff, just kind of talking to them, going around the room, going to their offices and, speaking to them, saying, hey, what's going on? What's happening? How are you doing? Just to be more accessible. And just for myself personally, I'm a blood donor. I'm going to be giving blood tomorrow, again, for people that unfortunately, of course, need a ton of blood. So that's going to happen as well. So just want to say, again, my own way, thank you. I want you to kind of think along those lines. All right. Casual Sweater, Kid Cudi, Swim in the Light. This is exactly a type of video for me. I'm a young adult with mental health. I'm glad Casual Sweater picked up on that. Is we've gotten so many comments from people that have said to us, my mental health issues are now able to be clarified and defined because of what you've done. And that's fantastic. We appreciate that. That's what we're looking for. So many times at mental health, it's always like, let me not say anything. Let me keep quiet. Let me not, not share. But I want you to think about that and what's important to you. One of the pieces I wanted to bring out was interesting to me is that, let's see, now it's like 2 Thursdays now. I was supposed to go to the WAC tournament in Las Vegas at a local casino. My first time going. I was all excited. One of my favorite teams is going to be playing. I was looking forward to it, blah, blah, blah. I get to the arena. Sorry, we're closed. There was a chance it was going to open at that time. Closed it. My producer said to me that he was supposed to go to what's called T-Mobile here to watch the Pac-12 championship take place. Got there, shut down. Sorry, no games. You can't watch. And you think about these things and you think about, sports are great. We all love sports. I'm a huge sports fan. No argument. But you start to put into yourself and say, what is relevant and what is not? And that's how I want you guys to think about yourselves, is understanding what is relevant. Your mental health is the most important thing out there. That is critical. And that's what you need more than anything, is a strong basis to go forward with positive mental health issues. Okay. Emmanuel Moore, Kid Cudi, Swim in the Light. He said he had a degree in social work and talked about his issues with suicide and depression, felt it hit home for him and was helping others. We've got a lot of people that have said things to us like, I'm in the mental health field. Either I'm a social worker, so I'm going to be studying psychology. I work with kids with mental health issues, and you giving me a chance, Bruce, to understand myself on a different level by being able to relate to other people in the kind of work that I do. Dynamite. I can't say how proud I am and happy to hear that kind of stuff. I want people to feel that this stuff is giving them information that they could take with them in their own line of work, whatever that might be. And again, we're about 20 minutes in. Anyone that has a question, feel free, shoot it in. Right now, we're wide open to answer any questions that come in. So feel free to do so. We're listening. So here we go. There's Steve Murray and Kid Cudi again. He said, love the breakdown. Talked about his own issues with depression, how others deal with it. And once again, we're seeing people talking about things that affect them on their own level and how they cope and how they focus. That's what we're looking for. It's what we want you to feel comfortable with. Perfect. Thank you, Steve. Dakota Banner, Kid Cudi, Swim in the Light. This may be the only video on YouTube I see with no negativity in the comment section. Great job.